Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel that provides geography videos for pupils and teachers across the UK. In this video, I'll be going through the AQA 2022 resource booklet. Now, the resource booklet provided by AQA this year is on waste and waste management. So my focus in this video is to go through this booklet with you, and we're going to annotate and highlight all the keywords, terms and concepts that you need to be familiar with to be successful in your Unit 3 exam. So all you need to fully engage with this video is, number 1, your resource booklet, 2, a pen to write with, and 3, a highlighter to highlight with. So once you've got those 3 things, let's begin. Right, we're going to make a start on figure 1, which is looking at managing waste in the UK. So everything that I highlight, you highlight. Any annotations that I make, guys, also make those annotations. And I'm going to read through the booklet, so if you just follow what I read. Here we go. So the Growing Waste Challenge in the UK. In 2018, the UK produced approximately 225 million tonnes of waste. The construction and demolition industry produced the most, about 140 million tonnes. Households generated approximately 27 million tonnes of waste, mainly made up of cardboard, packaging, paper, glass bottles, plastic and food waste. Right, grab your highlighters. Can you highlight, please? 2018, 225 million tonnes of waste. That's quite a bit. Construction, demolition industry produced the most. They produced 140 million tonnes. Households produced 27 million tonnes. That's still quite a lot. Mainly made up of cardboard, packaging, paper, glass, plastic and food. Those are the key things to highlight there. And we then have a look at our pie chart. So our pie chart is showing the breakdown of these different industries and how much waste is produced. Now, some things have actually been mentioned in this information here. So what we're going to do, we're going to apply that information to the pie chart. So on the blue section of our pie chart, that is our construction and demolition industry. So what we're going to write there, we're going to have to write, it's quite small, but we're going to write 140 million tonnes. Just in case, if you get asked a question to describe this graph, you know exactly what that percentage is there. And for this grey section, if we look at our key, is households. And if we look at our information, it says 27 million. So I'm just going to write 27, and I'm going to write M for million. There we go, that fits that in. So there's the first one. Let me move my page up. Food waste in the UK. It is estimated that each person in the UK throws away between 15 and 20% of all the food they buy, costing the average family £800 a year. Personally, I thought maybe that would be a little bit higher, but still quite a high amount. Each person throws away 69 kilograms a year. That's heavy. 1 in 6 meals in hospitality catering is wasted. So highlighters at the ready. Here we go. Each person, UK, 15, 20%, costing £800 a year. Highlight all of that first bullet point. There we go. And then 1 in 6 meals, hospitality catering is wasted. Right, now let's look at our bar graph. So when we've got a bar graph, let's just look at our 2 axes. So along the bottom, we've got years. Up the side here, we've got the cost of food waste in the UK in billions. So first thing to do is zoom out of your bar graph and look at the overall trend. The overall trend there is showing an increase. So grab your pen, you can maybe use a different colour if you wanted to, like I'm doing, and draw an upward arrow showing an increase like that. Grab your pen, just write down increasing. This is potentially linked to population growth. Obviously, as population increases in the UK, the amount of waste would increase. So it's potentially linked to population growth. Just a little thing with this bar graph. You may get a question in the exam which is going to ask you to describe this. If you get that sort of question, the first thing to do is describe the overall trend. Between 2006 and 2016, there is an increasing trend of food waste in the UK, 1 mark. What you then do is you take the 2006 and take the reading. So you'd say in 2006, there was £2.1 billion worth of food waste. In 2016, read what it says there, I believe that is 2.9 billion worth of food waste. So if you describe it, overall trend, and take off some data using both axes for your answer. Right, let's move on. So this is looking at how we get rid of waste in the UK currently. So we're going to read through together and then we will highlight. Here we go. So within the UK, there are a number of methods used to manage waste, including, number 1, landfill. Each year, approximately 45% of all UK waste is disposed of by burying it in landfill sites. This includes household, commercial and industrial waste. There are over 500 landfill sites in the UK, many of which will be full within the next few years. Right, grab your highlighters. Let's go through that first section. Highlight landfill. Highlight 45%. All UK waste. Highlight disposed. Burying it in landfill sites. Household, commercial, industrial. 500 landfill sites. UK. Full within the next few years. Okay, so just to sum that up, obviously landfill is, I'll draw a little picture here. We're digging large holes in the ground and we're throwing all of our waste in that hole and it fills up. That's landfill. Right, second method, we've got incineration. So the burning of waste which can be used to heat water and generate electricity. A number of older incinerators are now being shut down because of pollution issues. So highlighters, highlight incineration. Burning of waste, which is essentially what that is. Heat water, generate electricity. Well, that's interesting. That's positive. A number of older incinerators, so highlight older incinerators. Highlight shut down, pollution issues. So next to that, next to generate electricity, a little arrow, and let's write down by the side, this is a positive impact. But then we've also got pollution issues, and we all know that's not positive. So let's do a little arrow there. And let's write down negative impact. So a bit of positive and a bit of negative for that one. Right, next one. Recycling. Converting waste into reusable materials. In England, between 2000 and 2010, the recycling rate increased by approximately 30%. More recently, this increase has slowed, and the overall recycling rate is less than a 2020 EU target of 50%. Highlighters, here we go. So let's highlight recycling. Let's highlight converting waste into reusable material. That is its definition right there. That's what recycling is. England, 2000-2010. Recycling rate increased by approximately 30%. Recently, increase has slowed. That's unfortunate. Overall recycling rate is less. So overall recycling rate less. 2020 EU target of 50%. So So if we just sum that up, next to that, let's write down a positive trend, which has recently slowed down. There we go. Next one, anaerobic digestion, the breakdown of organic matter by biological agents. The process creates fertilizer and methane. The methane can be used to generate electricity. So highlighters, anaerobic digestion, highlight breakdown of organic matter, biological agents, creates fertilizer, methane, used generate electricity. Right, where it says biological agents, okay, let's just write down next to that chemicals. That's what we're talking about there. Next to fertilizer, just write down used in agriculture. And once again, next to generate electricity, it's another positive there. Let's write down a plus sign for positive, and that's socially and economically positive. Economically positive, that's good. Right, last one, composting. Organic waste, such as garden or food waste, can be composted and treated to produce soil conditioner. So last one, highlight composting, organic waste, garden, food waste, composted, treated, produce soil conditioner. And let's next door to that, this is more of a smaller scale method. So let's write down good for soil in people's gardens. This is more of a local level, so not large scale at all. Right, there you go, you've got all your different methods of waste disposal in the UK. Right, let's have a look at our yellow box here. Right, slowing recycling rates blamed on a lack of understanding. So waste company BOOKLET has asked for more clarity about recycling, saying that inconsistency and confusion in labelling, sorting, collecting are preventing waste being recycled. The government's resources and waste strategy aims to recycle at least 65% of all waste by 2035. But currently the rate is just over 45%, largely because of a lack of investment in recycling plants. The chief executive of BOOKLET said, "We need a system that is easy to use and cost effective, with increasing use of recyclable packaging and clearer labelling for consumers." Right, underneath that, let's write down, I'm going to write at the bottom here, this is a potential reason for the rates of recycling slowing down. So this is a potential reason for the rates of recycling slowing down. Lack of understanding. So let's just highlight those words there, because that pretty much sums it up. A lack of understanding. Amazing. Right, let's have a look at our map of the UK. Now, first thing to do when we get a map like this, let's just look at what the map's showing. So at the top here, it's showing the rates in England by local authority 2017 and 18, recycling household waste. So which area is recycling the most or the least? Let's look at our key. Dark green is 51% or more. That's really positive. We then have 41 to 50% light green, and obviously we then reduce in number. So if we just look at the general spread here, we have a high percentage of people recycling in the southwest. We have a high percentage of people recycling in, you'd say, central to the northwest of London and in the west of England as well. There are little pockets of low levels of recycling. These are normally in larger cities. So let's just sum this up. So in this circle here, I'm just going to write down west. In this circle here, I'm going to write central, northwest, NW of London. In this circle here, I'm just going to write down south west. The purple, I'm going to write down urban areas, and that is actually supported by the breakdown of London boroughs in the City of London, which actually has a high proportion of people not recycling, or very little. So there we go. So, you know, in the exam you may get a question, something like describe the distribution of 51% or more. So obviously you would just mention these areas here, given compass directions. Or it could be, you know, which areas have 30% or less and need to improve. You would just describe, using compass directions, the location of the areas in purple, including London. Right, moving straight on. So we're now looking at the rate of recycling in England shown by our line graph. So when we get a line graph, first thing we do, look at both axes. Right, that show me the years from 2000 to 2019. And up the side here, we've got waste recycling rate percentage. Right, just like we did with our first graph, let's look at the overall trend. It's increasing. But I would break this down a little bit further. So what I would do, put a circle around the line in 2000, then do it again in 2010, and then 2019. Because although it is increasing, there's a different level of increase on this graph. So from here to here, so 2000 to 2010, and then there. So along this line here, I'm going to write down the words rapid increase, and along this line here, I'm going to write down steady increase. Now, this steady increase, this slowing down, this might be linked to the thing that we've just read about there being a potential lack of understanding. So let's note that potential lack of understanding. So what we're doing now, we're starting to link pieces of information together. So that could be a potential reason for that. Now, once again, if you get a question in the exam based on this and they ask you to describe the trend, first thing you do, guys, is talk about the overall increase. But make sure you use data from the bottom axes and from the side axes. So from 2000, you would say in 2000 to 2010, there was a rapid increase from 11% to 41%. From 2010 to 2019, there was a steady increase from 41% to 46%. Perfect. Let's move it on. Right, now we're looking at the increasing volumes of valuable waste resources exported from the UK. This is really interesting. So I'm going to read, let's read first.
follow what I read. In 2018, most of the UK's plastic waste, along with an estimated 9.5 million tonnes of metal and 4.5 million tonnes of paper, was exported and recycled abroad. Until March 2018, China was the largest importer of plastic waste. But due to contamination issues, China then decided to stop importing plastic waste unless it was totally clean. Increasingly, LICs/NEEs, low income countries, newly emerging economies, are saying that they will not continue to be a dumping ground for contaminated waste from HICs. Right, highlighters ready? Here we go. Let's highlight 2018. Let's highlight UK's plastic waste. Let's highlight 9.5 million tonnes. Metal, 4.5 million tonnes of paper, exported, recycled abroad. March 2018, China, largest importer of plastic waste. Due to contamination issues, China stop importing plastic waste. I don't blame them. So let's write next to that. Previous methods. It'd be good if you could see it. There we go. Previous methods of sending waste to other countries is slowing down. Full stop. And if we look at our list here, we've got the number of different countries: Malaysia, Turkey, Poland, Indonesia, Netherlands, and the amount of tonnes that they take. So just take note of these numbers because you might get asked a question on that. We've got a comment here from Friends of the Earth International, and they say China's ban on importing plastic waste has resulted in more plastic being incinerated or sent to landfill or simply illegally dumped. This has led to polluted waterways and open burning, creating air pollution and serious health issues in some parts of the world. Right, so no smoke without fire. So let's highlight China's ban, importing plastic, resulted more plastic being incinerated, sent to landfill, simply legally dumped, air pollution, health issues. Right, so this ban on taking waste to places like China also has knock-on negative impacts. So let's just write here, leading to, I'm going to draw a little stick person for social and draw a tree for environmental issues. So, you know, although I don't particularly blame China and these other countries for saying no, there is, however, a knock-on effect of them saying no, which is leading to more pollution problems. Right, so let's start looking towards the future. What is the solution? So, moving towards a more sustainable waste economy. Right, let's read together. In the past, waste management was seen as a linear system. This meant that raw materials were used to make products, and after their use, they were seen as rubbish to be thrown away. The development of recycling has changed this to some extent. For example, waste paper is recycled and used to produce new paper, and waste metal recycled and reused. This reduces the amount of waste that is sent to landfill or incinerated, and has created a more circular waste system, where waste is seen as a resource opportunity rather than a problem. Increasingly, products are being made so that they can be easily and cheaply repaired or updated, and are made out of materials that can eventually be totally recycled. This will mean that fewer raw materials are wasted, and disposable waste is kept to a minimum, ensuring that human and natural environments are safer. Right, let's go. Highlighters ready? So that first sentence there, guys, highlight all of that. Let's highlight raw materials. Let's highlight make products. Let's highlight after their use. Highlight seen as rubbish. Let's highlight development of recycling. Change this to some extent. Waste paper is recycled. Produce new paper. Waste metal recycled. Reused. Reduces amount of waste sent to landfill, incinerated. Created a more circular waste system. Waste, opportunity rather than a problem. Increasingly, products made easily, cheaply repaired. Made out of materials, eventually be totally recycled. Fewer raw materials wasted. Disposable waste minimum. Human, natural environments safer. There we go. So those are the key points that are important in that section. And then we look at our two diagrams below. So this is the linear waste system. This is how things used to be. We take raw materials, we make a product, we use that product, then we just throw it away. That's not sustainable. So let's draw our arrow and let's write down not sustainable, socially, economically or environmentally. That's not good. We then have what we have now, and we're trying to promote more of this. We have our circular waste system. Now this method is most certainly more sustainable. This method is positive. This is what we want to work towards. Right, we now move on to figure 2, which is starting to look at a potential solution for this growing waste problem. Right, let's dive straight into proposed energy from waste incinerator for Cambridge. AMI energy from waste proposal. So here we go. Let's read together. The AMI Waste Services has proposed building an energy from waste incinerator near Waterbeach on the northern edge of Cambridge. AMI already has a 162 hectare waste management park near Waterbeach, where recycling, biological treatment, composting, landfill are used to deal with rubbish from the surrounding area. Let's just quickly highlight that. So that entire first paragraph right there, highlight all of that. We need to remember that. That's what they're proposing and where they're going to do it. Next to this paragraph right here, can you write down AMI already established? So it's not like it's a new development. They're already there and they're already working with biological treatments, recycling, composting and landfill, etc. So that links to that there. Right, let's go to the next paragraph. An AMI spokesperson said, although the current process aims to manage the waste created by households and businesses as effectively as possible, we are still landfilling about 200,000 tonnes of waste every year. Guys, that's a huge number. This is expensive and not very environmentally friendly, and the space available for landfilling will eventually run out. The proposed energy from waste facility will provide an alternative to landfill and create sustainable and affordable energy by burning the waste. It will use state-of-the-art technology and be strictly monitored by the Environmental Agency. Right, what I want you to do, can you highlight please all of that quote? So from the start of the speech marks, go all the way through and highlight all of that quote, because that quote, you may need to quote bits of that in your exam for one of your answers. So highlight all of that. Right, let's go to the key facts just below. So over 80% of waste is currently going to landfill, could be incinerated at the new facility. So let's highlight 80% of waste. Let's highlight landfill. Let's highlight incinerated. Let's highlight new facility. Right, grab your pen and next to 80% of waste, write down environmentally more friendly. That's a large number of waste that could go to the incineration. Next bullet point, the new facility would be able to handle up to 225 tonnes of waste per year. So highlight new facility, highlight 250 tonnes of waste per year. That is definitely a positive. The new facility could generate enough electricity for 63,000 homes. So once again, the new facility, enough electricity for 63,000 homes. That's a positive. And the last one, 300 jobs created during construction, operational phases. Also, another huge positive. Right, okay, so all of these, I think we've got a mixture here of environmental positives, economic, that's a pound sign, and we've got a mixture of social positives as well. Right, we now move on to two very different opposing views, one from a waste manager for Lincoln Council and the other a university lecturer. So let's see what the waste manager says in Lincoln Council. In Lincoln, 125 million energy from waste plants has processed over 1 million tonnes of waste since it opened in 2005, as well as providing energy for 29,000 homes. It's also produced 215,000 tonnes of ash, which is used in road construction. The amount of waste sent to landfill has been reduced by 92%, saving £91 per tonne in landfill tax. Very positive. So highlight Lincoln, highlight 125 million, highlight processed over 1 million tonnes, waste 2005, highlight energy 29,000 homes, highlight 25,000 tonnes of ash, road construction, waste sent to landfill reduced 92%, saving £91. So once again, all of this here is positive, socially, economically and environmentally. Right, let's go to the negative side. So this is a university lecturer who says the current waste incinerator boom will add to levels of air pollution, harm the health of local people, increase CO2 emissions and reduce recycling rates, wasting valuable resources. It may be cheaper to simply burn waste rather than recycle it. But when the cost of building a plant is taken into account, it is very expensive and wastes a lot of reusable and recyclable material. Right, highlighters. Let's highlight add to levels of pollution, harm local people, increase CO2 emissions, reduce recycling rates, wasting valuable resources. Cost, building the plant, very expensive, wastes, reusable and recyclable material. So quite clearly that is the exact opposite. So negative socially, economically and environmentally. Good. Next one. So AMI push for new 100 million energy from waste plant despite local opposition. So AMI claim that an energy from waste facility on their existing site is the best solution for Cambridgeshire because it will bring environmental and economic benefits, including green energy and local jobs. The facility will be able to cope with the increasing volume of waste resulting from the growing population and will provide a source of energy for the new town to be built on the near barracks site. However, many local people feel that the size of the proposed development will put more pressure on the rural-urban fringe and damage the look of the countryside. The 80-metre chimney and huge building will be very intrusive in the low-lying landscape. There is also concern about the impact of heavy vehicle traffic on nearby residential areas during construction and the threat of air pollution to the residents of the new town. Right, grab your highlighters, highlight AMI, highlight best solution, Cambridgeshire. Environmental, economic benefits. Green energy, local jobs. Increasing volume of waste. Growing population. Provide source of energy. Highlight the word however, so we're going to now look at the opposing side, the negative. Local people, size, proposed development, pressure, rural urban fringe, damage, look of the countryside. 80-metre chimney, intrusive, low-lying landscape, heavy vehicle traffic on nearby residential areas, construction, threat of air pollution, residents in the new town. So this paragraph here really is, it's a real balance of positive and negative. So let's just draw a scale to represent that. So we've got a real balance here of positive factors and negative. Once again, you know, these factors, they're social, they're environmental and they're economic. Right, when studying this page with your teacher in school, there's a few things just to be aware of. Okay, so let's do this together. So everyone put your finger on the site of the proposed waste incinerator. Right there. Got that? Everyone put your finger on the site of the new town built on former barracks. Okay. Everyone put your finger on the main road that runs past the new site for the waste incinerator. Can you see that? There's a green line that runs down the page. Right, a few things just to write down for this. So I'm going to go to the top of the page so you can write. I can write this down. Write these notes as well, guys. So we're going to write we're going to look at the site of the incinerator. Now what they may ask you to do, they being the examiners, they may ask you to write a 4-figure and 6-figure grid reference. So the 4-figure grid reference of that site is 4868. The 6-figure grid reference, obviously feel free to just check this with your teacher, is 488688. So those are the grid references of this site here. What you can now do in your lessons is work out the 4-figure and 6-figure grid reference of the site of the new town on the former barracks. Let's just write down as well that this particular site here of the incinerator, it's located in a low populated area. Obviously we know that because this is where the site is being proposed. We have no urban regions here. If I just move the map down, you know, an urban area looks like this and this, not where the proposed site is going. So this is a low populated rural region. And another thing just to write down as well, the main road, you may get asked this, is the A10. Okay, it may also be worth working out the distance between these two sites here as well. Right, we're looking at now the real arguments for and against this waste incinerator being built on the northern edge of Cambridge. So this first resource here looks at positives and negatives about building it. So as I read this, I'm also going to highlight, so do the same. So we're going to start with this top one here. Incineration is a very efficient way getting rid large quantities waste, reduces landfill. Now that is positive. Next one. Incineration can be used to produce heat and electricity. Heat and electricity. That one, once again, is a positive. Now, if you remember earlier in the booklet, we wrote down how many houses that would help. And the number was, if you remember, is 63,000 homes. Next one. There are very strong environmental protection laws in relation to incineration plants. That's important because if this is built, they will have to control the amount of pollution produced. Next one, incineration destroys harmful germs and chemicals. Well, that's always positive. Incineration plants are very expensive to build and operating costs are high. So expensive, build, operating costs are high. We have our first negative. Very economic as well. Let's jump to the top. Incineration is less polluting than landfill, which releases more pollutants into the ground and air. That's the one that I think is going to surprise quite a few people. So incineration is less polluting than landfill. So this is a bit of a what's less of the two evils, because it is positive, but of course it's negative as well, isn't it? Because if that means there's going to be more incineration, it just means there's going to be more air pollution caused by the incineration. So, you know, it's very environmentally focused, this one, but it is positive and negative. Incineration provides more control over bad smells because of a lack of decomposition. So let's highlight more control, bad smells. That's positive. Get rid of those horrible smells. Incineration ash can be used or landfilled in smaller quantities. So highlight incineration ash, landfilled, smaller quantities. That is obviously positive. Incineration produces dangerous pollutants which are harmful to people and the environment. So dangerous pollutants, harmful environment and people. That's negative. Incineration ash can be dangerous if not managed carefully. So incineration ash, dangerous, not managed carefully. That's negative. And the last one, incineration discourages recycling and waste reduction and may encourage more waste protection. So it's not seen as sustainable. Well, that's not good at all. So that's negative economically, socially, and environmentally. Right, almost there. Doing really well. Keep going. So we'll do this bit paragraph by paragraph. So AMI push to win planning battle for energy from waste plants. So the AMI Waste Services are pushing to get permission to develop a waste incineration plant on their existing waste management park, alongside the A10 near Water Beach. They claim that because the plant is within the boundary of the existing site and is next to the main road, no additional land will be required and minor roads in the area will not be affected. So let's highlight AMI Waste Services, permission, waste incineration plant, existing waste management park, alongside A10. Minor roads in the area will not be affected. Okay, amazing. Next bit. Currently, a high proportion of waste goes to landfill, but the existing landfill capacity will soon be full. If the incinerator is not built, waste will need to be transported much further to alternative landfill sites. So, currently, a high proportion of waste goes to landfill. Existing capacity will soon be full. It may need to be transported further to alternative landfill sites. So that's a danger if we don't build this incinerator. Supporters of the proposed incinerator feel that it will improve the local environment because of the decrease in landfill and may also increase recycling rates. In addition, the strict environmental guidelines will mean that air pollution will not be a problem. The jobs created during construction and when the plant is operational will be a significant boost to the local economy. Right, supporters. Improve local environment. Decrease in landfill. Increase recycling rates. Strict environmental guidelines. Air pollution, not a problem. Jobs created, construction. Boost local economy. So that paragraph there has more positives. Next bit. The managing director of the Waste Management Park said, the incineration plant is a sustainable solution for dealing with present and future waste needs. It will benefit the whole county and will generate wealth for the local community. It will supply electricity to thousands of local homes and will reduce the carbon footprint. AMI have said that they understand the concerns of local residents and will work to ensure that the site is landscaped in order to reduce the visual impact. Right, can you highlight please the quote? Highlight all of that because you can quote that in your exam in different questions. So that was very negative. Right, final page, here we go. So the waste incinerator will dominate the landscape and ruin the views of Ely Cathedral. The proposed waste incinerator plant will completely dominate the surrounding countryside. So let's highlight dominate surrounding countryside, which is largely made up of small rural settlements. Small rural settlements. The planned building is 141 metres in length, 91 metres wide, and the chimney is 18 metres tall. So let's highlight that, 91 metres wide, 41 metres in length, chimney 18 metres tall. This is much higher than any local buildings and will harm the visual amenity of the area. Harm visual amenity of the area. Close to Denny Abbey and Denny Farmland, so highlight those two places there. A listed building and a tourist attraction visited by many people throughout the year. To keep the incinerator going, people will require huge quantities of waste which will be brought in from a wide area, adding a significant amount of heavy traffic to a road system that is already under pressure. And then we've got a quote, Cambridge Without Incineration Group said they also have concerns about how close the proposed incinerator was to the new town at the former barracks site in Water Beach. So let's highlight that last bit there. That's amazing. Right, we'll move the page down. So this looks at, why bother recycling in the first place? This question has been posed by many people over recent months. not because they don't believe in recycling, but because they see their waste being burned for energy instead of recycled after they've gone to the trouble of separating it. A proposed waste incinerator near Waterbreach, Cambridgeshire, has enraged local residents because they see recycling as a better way of dealing with waste. On the waste hierarchy, this is the bit to highlight, which shows the order that waste should be treated in terms of the impact on the environment, recycling is seen as the better option. So up here we have got sustainable methods, and down here we have not sustainable. So this is what we want to focus on up here. This is what we want to achieve, ideally. And then we then have a view from the CPRE, which is the Council for the Preservation of Rural England. If the energy from waste project goes ahead, the buildings will dwarf every other building in the area, including Ely Cathedral. Buildings will dwarf every other building in the area, including Ely Cathedral. The chimney, with its polluting exhaust plume, will be visible for miles. We recognise that it is a difficult decision because the County Council is responsible for managing ever-increasing volumes of waste. However, the CPRE urge them to look for other alternatives that put local people and the environment first. So once again, here it is, that's a bit of a balanced view. And of course we get to the final section, and this is probably the most important part of the whole booklet. So latest update, in June 2020, this proposal to build the waste incineration plant was rejected by the government. Now that leads us on to the 9-mark question that you are going to get asked in your exam. Your 9-mark question will most certainly be along the lines of, is this the right judgment? Yes or no? Should that incinerator have gone ahead? So what you should do now with your teachers, or do this at home when you're revising, is put together a table. Okay? So up here we have positive, and here we have negative. Draw a column down there. We're going to have social, economic, and environmental. There you go. So go through this booklet now and write down social positives, social negatives, economic positives, economic negatives, environmental positives, environmental negatives. By making a summary of the positive and negatives, why it's sustainable, why it's not sustainable, you will be in a much stronger position to be able to answer the 9-mark question, which will most likely be linked to this statement. Right, and that's it. We're done. Well done, everyone.
Thank you for watching this geography revision video. I really do hope it helps you towards exam success. If you would like to support this revision channel, please do subscribe to it, give this video a like, and add a positive comment down below.